Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Growing at Work with Community-Oriented Development. My name is John Lee. I'm a Senior Android Developer and Manager at Wayfair. And I have been organizing tech educational events at work and outside of work through meetups and conferences for the last 5 years. And I'm here to share with you the idea that engaging with the technology community is a great avenue for career growth and personal growth. Cool. So engaging with the communities can be things like attending local tech events or meetups, going to conferences, speaking at these events, and maybe even ultimately organizing these events. And I'll be primarily focusing on that last part, organizing events. And I'll share with you 2 examples of how organizing events have opened up opportunities for me. So there's one instance where I was able to get an offer for a 26% raise, and all I had to do was attend a lunch conversation to get that job offer. There was no whiteboarding questions involved, no algorithms, data structures, no technical interview questions. None of this junk. And how did that happen? Well, I met the hiring manager at a local meetup a few years ago. I organized the local Android meetup event where his engineers both attended and spoke at, and I built a lot of rapport and confidence through those events. So I was able to get this offer without any technical questions. And there's another example in Wayfair itself, similar to the previous, where I attended a conference speaking workshop held by a senior manager at the company. And through completing the series and participating in workshops like that, as well as organizing events at Wayfair and like giving tech talks, all 3 events are kind of examples of like community engagement. He basically gave me a verbal offer if I wanted to be the app architect of an umbrella of teams. So these are 2 examples of how organizing events can open doors for you. But skills matter, but organizing community events also help you grow in other ways, such as growing in higher level skills such as organization, management, leadership, and collaboration. Because at some point in your career, you'll become a senior engineer or a tech lead or an architect or a manager, and you'll be managing people or leading technical initiatives. All of these qualities I mentioned here are integral to being successful in those roles. And if we look outside of how we can grow, we can also acknowledge that others in the community can grow. By organizing events, we're also giving back to the community by hosting and creating these opportunities for learning through like tech talks or whatever. We provide opportunities for people to give their first tech talk, to improve their presentation skills, to share their expertise. So there's many reasons why there are a lot of benefits for organizing events. So let's get into it. I'm gonna go talk about a few of the events that we can organize and how to go about it, as well as some tips and tricks. So generally, there are 1 or more speakers. Presentations range from 15 to 45 minutes, and you generally leave time for Q&A or networking or whatever. And this is the most common format that you can organize. So in my experience of organizing these events, I have noticed that when you do organize tech talk events, you should try to have at least 2 tech talks. Because based on trends of attendance, I noticed that 50% of more people will attend the event if there are more talks. Another good tip is to keep a backlog of presentation proposals if you organize an event that goes on a regular period or a regular basis. Because then you'll never really run out of events or have to scramble to find new speakers if you have a backlog of proposals. Another thing to be mindful of is the presentation order. When you have multiple talks, you should try to optimize and try to warm up the audience. If you have a really great speaker, maybe you should put them up first. If you have a short talk and a very long talk, you should probably do the short talk first and leave the long talk for later. And this is an example of what the logistics of organizing a tech talk will look like. And this is what I use at Wayfair. I make sure all the rooms are booked. I make sure that a week before the tech talk, the speaker's still good to go. Update the calendar event with their talk title and description. Set up the room, take attendance, provide announcements, record talk. Okay. Anyways, after the talk, you send out the feedback form, you thank them. We do this thing where we give a ninja figurine as a thanks for speaking. And that's basically it. Another event that we can organize is the roundtable discussion. And this is actually probably the easiest event to organize in this talk. And the roundtable discussions is basically a group of people coming together to discuss a topic. So how I organize this event is that I take the first 10 minutes of the event for everyone to write and propose ideas. And as a group or randomly, we pick 5 of those topics and take 10 minutes to discuss them. And this kind of format is really great for getting into the pros and cons, as well as understanding the perspectives of your colleagues in ways that a tech talk wouldn't be able to get to. So roundtable discussion tips. They're really easy to organize. You need to make sure that you have a moderator to keep track of the time. And one benefit that you can really leverage the roundtable discussions to do is if your company is currently facing a problem and there's no really clear solution, bring it up to the roundtable discussion and let people talk about it. It's a great way to surface all the possible solutions so you can find the best one. Another event that you can organize is lightning talks. The basic idea is that speakers have 5 minutes to talk about a topic. And being constrained to 5 minutes makes the presentation concise, make sure that only the key information is presented. And it's actually a really low barrier of entry for beginning speakers to start out. The next thing that we can talk about is hackathons. So I've been to many hackathons, some that are 58 hours or 52 hours, 48 hours, 24 hours, 12 hours, whatever, right? And there's many ways to host them and organize them. Fix It Friday is a experimental concept that we're working with at Wayfair, where we take one Friday out of the month and we say, this Friday, we're going to fix the things that we want to fix. So engineers will come together to create a list of tasks, agree on what to work on, and collaborate on working on those things. And afterwards, they'll give a postmortem or a recap. And it's basically like a one-day sprint, but it's really nice in the sense that engineers are empowered to figure out what they want to work on, what they want to solve, what they want to explore. And it's very popular. And it's an opportunity for engineers to do something different. The next format is called workgroups. It's rather than an event-based initiative, it's a goal-based, ongoing initiative, and it's around the idea of collaborating on improving an aspect of the business. So at Wayfair, we have work groups around things like architecture, modularization, documentation, onboarding, hiring, you name it. You can have work groups around whatever. And there's no restrictions on who can join. Many people from different teams or many different skills can join as long as they believe in achieving this goal of improving this thing. So forming a work group, it takes identifying a problem to tackle and to gather people that want to tackle that problem. And then it's and then you start with identifying the goals and how to evaluate whether you are successful in, I guess, working towards your goal. Then you execute, and most of the execution actually happens outside of like work group meetings. Most of the time, work group meetings are about syncing up and, I guess, identifying and reaching consensus on some of the goals or tasks. So at Wayfair, normally work groups have bi-weekly meetings. We establish an agenda where we talk about talking points. So let's talk about modularization, right? A goal of modularization should be improve build times. So we'll say, how do we improve build times? And we'll talk about other things that go into modularization. And then throughout the meeting, we'll also create action items on how we can improve build times, acknowledging that that's the goal we want to also reach. So the work group meeting is about syncing up and establishing action items as well as assigning them. So let's say that none of these events are things you want to do. The general logistics of organizing events is finding speakers and attendees, scheduling a time, securing a space, announcing your talk, and marketing it. And it's actually not that much work, and that's the point I want to get across. It's not too many steps, and it's not that hard to get started. So let's talk about things that you kind of don't need, that kind of gets in the way of starting. You don't need food. You don't need alcohol. You don't need weird swag like this tin of mints in a dice-shaped tin. You don't need sponsors. And most importantly, you don't need experience to start. So let's get into tips and tricks. So general tips, don't do it alone. Find a co-organizer. When you have an ongoing, repeated event, it makes a world of difference to find someone that can help you out, because sometimes you might get busy or life happens and you can't attend something, or whatever happens. You have someone else that you can rely on to share the work. The next tip is the idea of ask for forgiveness, not for permission, because you don't need permission to start organizing events. Your company will never ask you to start organizing events. It's something that you should want to do by yourself. So when you do organize events, be sure to collect feedback, because feedback is a gift to improve whatever you're doing, and it might be good feedback on how you can personally improve. When it comes to organizing events, you should also track your performance. This could be as simple as tracking attendance and trying to figure out how that correlates to how your event went, to how impressions in your marketing material. And lastly, organizing events is all about, or should be about, having fun. Maybe Tech Talks isn't your thing. That doesn't stop you from organizing events like a board game night or a trivia night. We had an event at Wayfair where we got 5 Android engineers, 5 iOS engineers, and we created a game show that's like Family Feud, where we asked the contestants questions like, do you know our company's core values? What are the most popular snacks? We had these squawking chickens as buzzers, and it was all goofy and it was fun. So don't forget to have fun. And to wrap things up, I want to bring everyone back to this one idea, that community-oriented development provides opportunities for yourself and others to grow. It's a rewarding experience, and I highly recommend getting involved. That's my talk. My name is John, and if you have any questions, you can find me on Twitter or the mic stand. Thank you.